Hey y'all, I think we are live. How are y'all today? All right, if you can hear me okay, and if you are excited to learn about mixing royal icing colors, let me know in the comments below. So I am trying, here we go. I'm getting my live video pulled up so I can see y'all's comments on my phone too. And we are going to get started. So today we are talking about how to mix royal icing so that it matches the color you want for your cookies. So I have a tub of royal icing here next to me that's straight out of the mixer. I also have some tipless piping bags. I prefer to use tipless piping bags just because they're easier for me. Some people prefer using piping tips. Some people prefer the little squeezy bottles. But for me, tipless piping bags are easy and they're less cleanup, which is really nice for me because I hate cleaning. So we're going to get started. I promised y'all that I would show you the app I use for making color palettes. So I have an app called Pocket Palette. It looks like this. Can y'all see that okay? All right. So I took a picture from Pinterest. Let me find it here. Here we go. I found this picture on Pinterest. It's a cute holiday wreath. And then I went over to Pocket Palette, and I'm going to just show y'all how to create a new color palette. I went to the plus button at the top, and you can click this little dropper right here. Click Browse Photos, and it will let you choose a photo that you found anywhere. Just save your photo, and then you can hover over any part of the picture and choose a color from that picture. So then you just change the color, hover over a different part, you get your next color, do the same thing. You can add colors, take away colors, and then when you get done, you can view your color palette like so. So I'm going to show you. You can name it and do all that when you get done. This is the color palette that I made out of that photo. I called this the Farmhouse Christmas color palette just because it has that kind of Joanna Gaines look to it to me. And we are going to match our royal icing to these colors. So I made this little free printable here. And if you want to get a copy of this free printable, I'll be happy to send it to you. Drop me like an emoji or a give me the printable or like a raised hand, something underneath the video. That way I know you want this and I can send it to you. Also, when you put something in the comments, it lets you know when I comment the freebie link. So I'll put this freebie link in the comments and you'll get a notification if you have a comment underneath the video. So our first step here on the guide is choose a color that you want to create. So we did that with our color palette. And when I mix my colors, I like to go lightest to darkest. So the lightest color in this palette is this kind of taupey gray color. So find the lightest color in your color palette. We did that. And you want to find the gel food coloring that most closely matches that. So I'm going to grab a scoop of fresh out of the mixer royal icing. It's wanting to stick on me today. Here we go. And I'm going to find my gel food coloring that most closely matches that. So I've pulled a few colors that kind of go with what we're doing today. And I'm going to take a look. This is like a gray taupe tone to me. And this gray color, this is AmeriColor Ash. It looks really close. But if you didn't have a gray, you could use a black and a white mix. You could use just a tiny, tiny bit of black, like a toothpick, to create this gray look. One thing I want to touch on before we really get into the colors is neutral food coloring. This is such a best kept secret of custom cookie decorators everywhere. These are not ones that you would typically find in the Hobby Lobby or the Walmart aisle where you would go and shop. But if you just take a couple minutes, use your 2-day shipping on Amazon Prime, and I think this one's like $8 and this one is like maybe $6 or $7. I can't remember exactly. But these AmeriColor colors are so handy for making those really pretty custom colors with these neutrals. You can get white, black, and chocolate brown, and they're super handy. You can also get the huge thing of red, which is very handy. So we're going to make this taupey color. We're going to start by adding 1 to 2 drops of this color that we think kind of closely matches the one that we're trying to make. I haven't opened this up yet, so I'm going to pull the tab off the top. Okay. And 1 to 2 drops, I know that's kind of hard to measure a drop. How big is a drop? It's always better to start with a little and then add more. So when in doubt, add less than you think, then add more later. Okay, we're going to mix this up. I like to mix mine to the right consistency after I color it, because sometimes your colors can change your consistency. So it's better to mix color first, then consistency later. All right, so that looks pretty good. I think we're at about the right level. My next step is to see if it's light or dark enough. If this were too light, I could add a couple more drops of gray. If it were too dark, I could add some of this white, or I could add some additional raw icing. But this looks about like the right amount of gray to me. I just think that I need a little brown to bring out that taupey tone. So I'm going to grab some of my chocolate brown. If you tap it on the counter real gently like I did, then you can get all your brown to come down to the bottom. I like to use the back of my spoon to add just a tiny bit of color. That way you don't get way, way too much. And I think I've added just a little bit too much, so I'm going to take a little paper towel, wipe some of my brown off so that I just have a tiny bit. Hey, Patty! And we're going to mix that brown in and see if we can get that taupey color. Ooh, I'm liking this. I think we're right on the money. Get it good and mixed in. See if we've made it. And I think we have. I'm going to compare it with my color. That's pretty dang close, y'all. What y'all think? Maybe just a little bit more brown? I think maybe just a tiny bit more. I've got a little bit stuck on my spoon here, so that may be what we need. Just what's on the spoon. Gonna add just a touch more. Maybe just what comes off of the jar when I touch it to the spoon. We don't want to go too extreme with this brown, because we're not going for brown. We're going for a grayish taupey color. Yeah. There we go. Ooh, all the Joanna Gaines Magnolia vibes. Yep, I feel like we hit it right on the money. Okay, so we're going to add, Patty agrees with me. She said, yeah, just a little bit of brown. Thanks, Patty. I think it worked out pretty good. Let's add our water. And I like to add about a teaspoon of water to a large ice cream scoop of icing. That might have been a little more than a teaspoon. Let's back that up. I normally use a teaspoon, but I'm going to be honest, y'all, both mine are in the dishwasher right now. Both sets of spoons. So y'all are just getting my estimation version. Okay, so I'm going to pop this into a tipless piping bag. And if you leave a little bit in the bowl, don't stress about it, because a color this pale, when, like I said, we're doing that lightest to darkest technique, it's not going to mess up your next color that much. If it does, it's not a huge deal. All right, there we go. There's our first color. Let's mix our second lightest color. That's going to be this kind of palish green here. And this has got a little bit of a brighter tone to it, so I'm going to show y'all my trick for making green. Now, some of y'all may have already seen this because I do this trick with green a lot. You could use the green that comes from the store. You could use the, this is AmeriColor green. I think Wilton makes another green too. And it's pretty. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't look natural when you put it in the food coloring though. It looks a little bit like a candy green, sort of to me. And I think that using yellow and black together makes a really pretty natural looking green, especially when you're doing wreaths and trees and fun stuff like that at Christmas. Now, this green color here, it's a little bit brighter than the one on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and add pretty good dose of yellow to that. And then I'm going to do just a touch, not very much at all. Again, we're going to use that back of the spoon trick. And we're going to just do the tiniest little drop of black. And mix that together. See where we land. Woo, we're going to have a very, very bright green. So we're going to have to tone this back down. All right, so it looks like I went a little heavy on the yellow side of things. Compare that to the color I've got here. Ooh, those colors are a little different on the screen, y'all. This is very, very bright in real life. So I'm going to add a little bit more black. Just a tiny bit. And I also learned a trick in a cookie group. I don't know if y'all have heard of the blog Sweet Sugar Belle. She's got some really good tutorials and tips. She made this beautiful eucalyptus green by adding just a little bit of purple to her green, and it was gorgeous. So I'm just going to add a little purple. It kind of tones it down and makes it that pretty eucalyptus color. And I've got blue coloring all over my hands because it was on the outside of my purple. Alrighty. That's going to tone down our green. It's going to bring in that kind of eucalyptus-like color. Yes, there we go. It's still not quite bright enough though. Sometimes we have to readjust after adjusting. Gonna add a little more yellow. See where that lands. If you want to brighten, add yellow. If you want to darken, add your neutrals or a purple. Okay, that brightened it up quite a bit. It's still just not quite the tone I want, so I'm going to try a little touch of blue. This looks like a little bit more of a true green. So just a couple drops of blue. And I think I'm going to call it after this. Sometimes you do have to just say that's close enough. Ooh. A little more than I thought, but that's okay. Here we go. That's going to make it the right tone. All right. Let's compare the two. Perfect. Now we can pop this into a piping bag and move on to our next color. Now, I don't know about y'all. Y'all let me know if this is what you do or what you did if you decorate cookies. When I first started, I would do a bowl for every color. Every single color of icing I did, I would get out a different bowl. And I had so many dishes to do on top of the dishes that I was already doing for my family in my home. Just being a mom of twins and a wife of a husband who really likes his late night cereal. Okay. But this method of mixing lightest to darkest really does make all the difference. So we learned from mixing that lighter green tone that we need a little more blue in the next one. And we need a little more of that muted tone. So I'm going to show y'all how to get that. I'm going to go back in with my yellow. Back in with the black, and I'm going to add a little bit more black this time because this color of green is slightly darker. So I'm going to do a little bit bigger drop of black. Give that a mix and see where we land. I can already tell we're going to need more black. I like to go a little heavier with the yellow at first because if you add too much black, then you're going to have to keep adding a ton of yellow and more icing, and it kind of turns into a pain. It's better to go ahead and mix brighter than darker because you can darken, but it's harder to brighten. Okay, a little bit more black. That's too much. Good thing I put it on the back of the spoon, right? Give that a good mix. Okay. Now I think we've gotten really close to our pretty green tone. We might just need to lighten a bit. Yeah. That is really close to the tone we're wanting. I think I'm going to do a little more purple. If I can avoid getting the blue on my hands this time. It helps make that pretty eucalyptus color that we like. Just like we saw in that blog post. Give it a mix. Now, I don't know if y'all have seen it yet or not. You may have already seen this on my website. But I just made a royal icing consistency gauge. If you have watched the video I do where I talk about royal icing consistency, I use my ice cream scoop and my teaspoon of water to get the right consistency of my icing. It's a really good way to kind of get a starting point and get to that consistency easier. But when you're first starting out and you're not quite familiar with icing consistency yet, it's really nice to know before you start using cookies if you have the right consistency or not. So I created this little drip gauge that you can print off and put in a page protector. That's on my website at the top if you want to check it out. Let's compare, see how we did. Oh, we are really, really close. We need to go a little bit lighter though, so I'm going to add a little white. I don't do much more than a teaspoon of white food coloring anytime because it will get sticky. You'll have marshmallow consistency instead of hardened royal icing, which is never good. All right, and I think that lightened it up just enough. Perfect. We've reached our color. And the last color that we're making tonight is this beautiful burgundy red color. The red should overpower the green, no problem. So we don't have to worry about any green being left in our bowl. Don't stress about it. It's not going to hurt anybody. I have this like need to clean the bowl as much as possible between icing because I work so hard to get that pretty color. I want to get all I can. Okay. And next we are going to make our beautiful crimson, burgundy, whatever you want to call it, red color. Okay. So, of course, the color that matches most closely to this is red. This is Americolor Super Red. Y'all, my fingers are super blue right now. Hey, Julie. Oh, my phone thought I said, hey, Siri. I did not. All right, we're going to give that red a mix and see where we land. Ooh, very pretty. Still a little bit light. Now, we know from our guide that if it's too light, we need to add a little bit more color. So we're going to add 1 or 2 drops more. Those were hefty 1 or 2 drops. Now, if you've been decorating cookies for a while, you know that if you are working with red, sometimes it pays to let your red sit overnight so that you don't have a bitter cookie. Sometimes red food coloring, we have to add so much food coloring that we end up having a bitter taste in the royal icing, and that's not fun. So if you have the time and the ability to be patient and wait for your red to develop, which I don't often do. Patience is not my strong suit, y'all. Then you can let it sit overnight and it'll develop and get darker. So let's see. That is terribly, terribly close. I think we're almost right on the money, but I am going to add just a little bit of that purple again, or a little bit of blue, just to kind of make that red. It's a little bit more of a deep color, I think. So I'm going to add just a tiny touch of blue and just a little touch of brown, because that always makes it, I just love the look of the brown in the icing. Makes it look more custom, gives it a little bit of a vintage vibe. I love it. Okay, mix it up. There we go. That toned it down, made it a little bit muted. That is a beautiful, beautiful red color. Have a few green streaks in there, but don't worry. Give it a couple extra swirls with the spoon and they're good to go. I think we've mixed it just about right, y'all. I'm so disappointed with the way these colors are showing up on Facebook Live. They just don't look the same to me in the live video. I wish y'all could see them in person. They look so much better. Oh, but anyway, you know, technology. So we're going to bag this up, and that is our final color of the evening. I hope this is helpful to y'all, and if it was, definitely drop me an emoji under the video so I can get you that download from my website. Also, if you're local, if you live here in the Shoals area, we have classes coming up on December 5th. Those are at Watson House on Darby Drive in the Village Shopping Center. You can come and decorate cookies. It's all done for you before you get there. You won't have to mix any icing or clean any dishes. You just sit down and decorate and have a good time. You can shoot me a message if you're interested in that. Check out the event on Facebook and get some more information. There's our beautiful red color. But if you're not local, if you live somewhere else, or if you're not able to get out right now, or you just are being cautious and want to stay home, which I don't blame you a bit, then you can check out that class online. It's going to be up about the same time that we have the in-person class. It'll be up December 5th, if not a little sooner. You can pre-order that class online now for $25. And it'll be available to you all the time. You don't have to sit down at your computer at any certain time. It's just there for you whenever. That is our Christmas color palette tonight, the Christmas Farmhouse color palette. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comments. And if you want more cookie decorating goodness all the time in your inbox, you can go to sarahgracecookieco.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, or you can search Sarah Grace Cookie Co. Tips and Resources in the Facebook Groups tab. And you can join our free Facebook group where we have Q&As. We're taking a break right now over the holidays, but we typically have Q&As, and we're probably going to join those. We're going to start those back up in the new year, And I'm thinking we're going to start doing some Zoom meetings. That way we can have face-to-face conversations and talk cookies in there. So thank y'all again for joining me. And I hope y'all have a great day. I hope y'all have a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow and a very, very Merry Christmas here in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.